Hopefully I'm talking in the microphone. My mother has told me that I didn't have the microphone pointed at myself. I'm just using my smartphone for this, for ease of uploading. So this is the bit. I just tried filming that. That's why the string's already cut. So the rule of thumb is 4 times the length of what you're sewing. So I'm taking it off of the spool and pinching it there. That gives me half, and then I'm pulling it again, and that gives me double. Now that's double, and then I've gone an extra crap load. The reasoning for that is when you've got the 2 needles and you're trying to sew an inside corner and it's really tight, if you don't have that, it's a real big pain in the butt. So I just don't care, about an extra meter of thread over a project. I think the spool was like $45 or something. So you're getting a fair amount. I would imagine I'd be able to do this about 3 or 4 times. So anyways, because it's threaded, it's waxed, it'll retain a bit of molding or anything. So I've made that narrower. I'm going through only when I'm being watched do these things happen. You get that through there. Jesus. Seems to be having some sort of difficulties here. So you get that through, and you go pretty far, and you get a hard surface, and I'm just flattening it out as much as I can, and then just jabbing that through. And people that I've seen, they don't, they're putting that the needle through the thread way back there, and that's fine. To each their own. I'm trying something different where I'm getting it fairly tight there, and then doing the same thing again, but this time with the actual thread, because I've had the needle pull through a couple of times, and I found that to be rather annoying. So for the extra, once you start doing it, it doesn't take quite this long, but for the extra, 30 seconds, a minute, if you're doing it all in one big long go like that, one seam, it doesn't add that much time to the project, I wouldn't think. So, you get that hole there, and obviously you feed this through, or try to. If you twist the thread, the hole gets bigger and then disappears. Yeah, and then you can pull that up tight. Because you've unwound the thread, you can just wind it back up, and it's wax, so if you warm it up, it'll then seal itself. And there you go. That thread, I have not had that come apart. And when I cut off the excess, I actually have to go in with the needle and pull it through itself, and that's how I'm getting the needle off. I mean, you could cut it, I suppose, but it's a bit of a pain. I have had the thread break. I'm not sure if I had accidentally nicked a few of the threads, and that caused it to break, or it wore on something, or maybe just the manufacturing, when they were spooling the thread, it may have gotten damaged. Regardless, you can see there is a join, and all I'm doing with that is a clove hitch. So with the clove hitch, I mean, obviously much thinner or a smaller, tighter thing. But what you're doing is you're taking one, you're going over and under, right? So you've got basic knot, and then what you're trying to do is, I think you go over and under again. Yeah. No, that's the wrong way. No. Christ. Anyways, what you're trying to have happen is, yeah, that's it. You've got one thread over top and one thread over, or they go through the loop, and they go over on the outside of the loop, and obviously this will go on the underside of the loop. This is really hard to show. If you look up another video, I'm sure somebody's done it with a big chunk of rope. Anyways, it's called a clove hitch, and it's how you're supposed to join like ropes. As far as I know, it's yeah. Anyways, how you're supposed to join ropes. I'm gonna say something about commercial application where you're doing lifting of heavy materials, but I don't think they use ropes anymore, but they used to. Anyways, so I think that's what they would use. It's the strongest way to join the ropes, so that's what I'm applying here, and it seems to be working very well. The thread is actually quite strong, but obviously if you nick it, you're losing that strength rapidly because there's only six strands. So yeah, that's how I'm going about with that. And then as far as the actual sewing, this isn't a very complicated sewing bit here. I think there's a tool that clamps it for you. I can't remember what they're called. I could have made one, but I just don't care. So yeah, you start off doing that, one on either side, and then you go back through that same hole, pull back through the same hole, pull, and then I'm just cinching that up, and that just tightens it up, and it actually recesses it into the leather if you pull tight enough. I did use my saddler's gouge for a lot of what I initially knew, or where I initially knew or suspected I was putting thread. I've got that grooved out, but this isn't. It's not that much of a difference. I mean, this is sitting quite proud comparatively, but that's still fairly proud. I would suggest you buy a couple saddler's grooves or groovers, because mine's worn out. I found that it was starting. This is a dry wax, a dry leather. So, not being waxed, I didn't expect that it would block the little hole on the gouger, but unfortunately, that's what's occurred, and I had to go and get a little wood drill bit, 1.5 mils, the smallest that came in any of the packages that I've got. And so I drilled that hole bigger, and I mean it works, but I don't know. I'm probably going to kick myself in the ass for not doing it. I've also got an adjustable V-gouge, and I could have done all of this with that as well, but I am in a bit of a rush for whatever reason, and can't convince myself to invest the 15 minutes that it would take on what is becoming, I mean, sewing last night, I got home at 4, so probably started around 5 and went till 10, 5 hours of sewing just for everything that I haven't, except for what I'm starting now. I mean, that's a fair amount of, I had dinner in that amount of time as well, so, I mean, call it 4 hours regardless. That's still a fair investment of time, and if you're not going to just do the extra 15 minutes, it's probably not worth doing at all, but